All right, guys, so when I bought some equipment, mostly for online teaching, but I also ended up using it in my YouTube channel, I wanted a capture card to run this camera I'm recording with right now. This is not currently going through a capture card. This is shot in 4K, but when I do more of my like green screen style stuff and when I'm doing my live online teaching, I've been going through this little $20, when I bought it, I've seen them even cheaper now, like 17, 18 bucks. On Amazon, kind of generic Chinese capture cards. They go up to 1080p 30 frames per second or 720p 60 frames per second. And that's what I've been using on this channel as well as my online teaching, and it's really been getting the job done. Since I'm finally getting a little bit of ad money off of this channel, I decided to invest the little bit I've been earning in upgrading my setup, and one of the upgrades I decided to get is this. So this is the CamLink 4K, and it just arrived in the mail. I haven't opened it yet. Let's do a quick unboxing, and then we're gonna test this out side by side. So yeah, it's got the little tab deals here. I really haven't opened it yet. This isn't the greatest spot for an unboxing here. Didn't really set up my table or anything. But let's just go ahead and get it done, right? These little tabs are, little plastic things. I probably should have something to cut it with, right? Well, that's what fingernails are for. Am I going to destroy the box? Well, you know what? Boxes have to be destroyed occasionally. I'm probably not the most enjoyable... Oh, if you hear my kids talking, playing with Grandma upstairs. Hi, Gracie. I was filming a video. Do you mind if I finish that, please? Okay. She's playing with Grandma, so she should be okay. Anyway, what do we got in here? We've got a CamLink 4K. Got some like instructions on there. Looks like it comes with a USB 3.0 cord. Plugging it here. Hi, Gracie. Anyway, there's the CamLink 4K. If you want to compare it to the one I've been using, this is actually an HDMI 2.0, and I've already unboxed this ages ago, but I did save the box. And it's just this little HDMI capture card here. It's a USB 2.0. Again, HDMI goes in there. Again, this goes 1080p 30 frames per second, 720p 60, whereas the CamLink should be able to go 1080p 60 frames per second and 4K 30 frames per second. Now, the main thing I'm actually hoping for is that it just has a better quality picture. I feel like there's a little bit of compression happening on my 1080p 30 frames per second. I don't really mind 1080p 30, but I think there's a little bit of compression happening. I'm hoping this gives me a smoother, better looking picture. We'll see if it's worth the extra like $100 for one of these or not. We're gonna test it out. Running into OBS, now I have an old HDMI splitter. So the first way we're gonna test this out is running my camera into the HDMI splitter and then running we've got two HDMI outputs that should be identical. Both HDMI outputs are gonna go in, one of them will go into each of those capture cards. Both will go in as sources into OBS. And then we can see if we can visually spot a difference. Hey, there's two of me, and I'm green screen like I usually do on a lot of my videos. Here's my channel behind me. What do you guys think? What's going on here with this setup? Which one do you like better? To me, it looks like one of these has more fringing around the edges on the green screen, because I think one of them gives me a sharper image with less color, what would we call it? Compression. When there's compression around the edges, I think it gets a little bit fuzzier. And look at the smoothness of the chair in this video. I see it when I'm on the screen. What do you guys think? One of them also looks a little bit brighter. One looks a little bit brighter, right? One looks smoother. The brightness, I think, is actually less accurate, and I think it's kind of boosting the reds a little bit. Anyway, so this is what they look like side by side. Why don't we give some of them, so here's one by itself. I'm not gonna tell you which one. And you know what, should we get rid of the filters so you can just see the full shot with no filters? Let's go ahead and do that. So filters are off. Okay, so here's me, guys. No filters on this one. So what do you think of this one? Let's jump into the other one. And so hi, here's the other one. Again, I'm not telling you exactly which one's which yet, but you know, if there's a big enough difference, you should be able to spot it for yourself. Okay, so here's this one. All right, should we flip back and forth for a second? So here's this one. And switching back. Okay, well, you can probably tell, I can tell looking at my OBS screen right now, that this is the cheap Chinese capture card. And this one is the CamLink 4K. Now, I noticed a difference. It's sharper. I think the colors are less, there's more contrast. The colors are a little bit deeper. If we switch back here, look, this one looks brighter, a little bit fuzzier around the edges. I think the reds are a little bit boosted. It's 30 frames per second, if that. This one is 60 frames per second, so it handles the motion a lot smoother. So I definitely think there's some advantages to this, but $100 worth of difference, if you're just starting out and you're just gonna be a little, a little window in a game stream or something like that, or, one of those, just like I've been doing, I really think the little $20 capture card was doing a great job. This one clearly is better, but that was doing a great job. All right, there's one last thing I wanna test out, which is instead of using this for a camera feed, that's what I wanna do with it. But for some of you guys watching this video, you might be interested in capturing a console, right? A video game console for a live stream. And we could compare that again with the two different capture cards and see which one looks better, the same way we just did here. All right, guys, so this is a PS4 running in here, and it's God of War, so I'm guessing this is running at maybe 30 frames per second. So that's not gonna be an advantage that we get out of the CamLink here. Yeah, we can still take a look at the quality of the video we're getting here. Now, I mean, it looks fine on, you can probably tell which one's which, right? Especially look at the latency here. Seems a little bit quicker on the left, and that is the CamLink, so it has a latency advantage. Also, I feel like the video's a little bit less compressed, it's a little bit sharper on the left, but it's not horrible on the right. So that's something to keep in mind if you're thinking about using one of those to get started with a little capture card. Let's look at some details here. Now let's actually look at switching between the two. So this is going to be the CamLink, and here we have the, let's switch. So that is now the cheap Chinese capture card. Switching back, CamLink, and here's the cheaper one. Now, again, you guys are seeing this compressed on YouTube, so I can see a very distinct difference. Like, it's blurrier now, and then now it sharpens again. So I see a distinct difference myself. Again, on YouTube, there's gonna be some compression, but if you were doing this for live streaming, or uploading to YouTube even, there's gonna be some compression on yours as well. So here is a nice full screen of the CamLink 4K. Have you made it out of Fafnir's storeroom yet? And again, it's 4K capable, but we're doing a 1080p 60 frames per second capture, although again, the game is probably feeding it less than that. Now let's jump over, here is the Chinese capture card. Gonna kind of run through a similar little loop here. And let's switch back again. So switching back, this is now the more expensive one. Elgato. All right, guys. Well, you can be the judge of if you think it's good enough. Again, I'd say the main advantage here would be that if you're running a game that actually could output 60 frames per second, that would be a huge advantage for like a shooting game or something like that. But in a game like this that isn't even outputting 60 frames per second, let's switch back to the CamLink. Again, if you're not even outputting 60 frames per second, that's not that big of a deal. And honestly, like, I can see the difference. Again, I think this looks better. Now let's switch. This looks, different. A little bit blurrier. The colors are a little bit brighter. I think there's more reds. It's definitely not neutral. Yeah, so you can be the judge of that. Like I said, my main use case would be as a face cam. Let's switch back to that. All right, guys, well, I thought I'd give you my final thoughts while giving you one more chance to look at this. Before you saw it with a green screen behind me, so here's my actual background. Also why I put a green screen when it's facing this direction, kids' toys, movies, things like that. Whatever. Anyway, rearranging my mantle so things are down there. Anyway, so overall, you can see again the CamLinks on the left, the $20 capture cards on the right, and there is a distinct difference. Let's switch again here. So again, this is the cheaper one, and then for like $100 more, you get this, okay? This is smoother, it's 60 frames per second. It, I think, has a more neutral color tone. It is a little bit sharper, but you know what? Again, 20 bucks, 120 bucks, you know? And again, the Elgato 4K does give you the opportunity of the 4K 30 frames input. I just don't really have that use case in this format. If I'm shooting in 4K, I do it directly on my camera. So that is something else to consider. Anyway, so yeah, switching between them, again, you can see a difference. They're not identical. I do like the CamLink better, but for $100 more, if you're just starting out looking for a capture card, there's a lot to be said for that $20 capture card. Although, I do definitely prefer the Elgato, so if you have the budget for it, I do think it's better, and I don't regret spending that extra money on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section, and I hope you guys have an excellent day. Oh, and maybe like and subscribe and all that, you know? All right. Now have an excellent day.